Greetings to everyone and a warm welcome to our live webinar organized by IIM Calcutta and VCNow. We are thankful to each one of you for your presence here today. A big thank you to our distinguished guest speakers, Professor R. Rajesh Babu and Professor V.K. Unni from IIM Calcutta for taking time out for us despite their busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir. The theme of today's webinar is leverage business and corporate laws for a strategic advantage. It is crucial for every organization, regardless of size, to be aware of the laws and regulations that govern their sector. It is essential to understand the legal repercussions of any decisions you make and how complying with the law could influence your business strategies. Law is the last great untapped source of competitive advantage, as put forward by Professor Larry Downs in Harvard Business Review. Unfortunately, the significance of law as a strategic tool for business growth has not been leveraged fully. But IIM Calcutta acknowledged this, and they came up with the executive program in business and corporate laws to help professionals gain insight and foresight in leveraging business and corporate laws to their advantage. The participants of this program had the chance to learn different laws through an expertly structured curriculum that particularly suits the industry's needs. Additionally, user cases, discussions, peer group learning, and industrial engagements immensely contributed to their learning process. With the right legal knowledge, they are now capable of making more informed decisions and advancing in their career paths. Allow me to introduce our distinguished speakers for today's webinar. So we have with us Dr. R. Rajesh Babu. Sir is a professor of public policy and management at prestigious IIM Calcutta and is also a member of the Board of Governors of IIMC. He obtained his PhD in international law from JNU New Delhi. He has over 2 decades of experience in industry and academia. He has been a postdoctoral scholar in residence at the Graduate Institute of International and Development Studies, Geneva, a fellow at the Center for Studies and Research, Hague Academy, and visiting fellow at Hamburg University. He has also served as a senior legal officer from 2002 to 2009 in Asian African Legal Consultative Organization, New Delhi, an intergovernmental organization. He also practiced law at the High Court and the subordinate courts briefly. He is a regular contributor to international journals, magazines, and books. Welcome to the session, sir. We also have among us Dr. V.K. Unni. Sir is a professor with the Public Policy and Management Group of IIM Calcutta. He teaches at the doctoral and postgraduate levels. He did his PhD in law from the renowned Nalsa University of Law, Hyderabad. He had taught at Nalsa University courses on intellectual property law, as well as banking and finance law for many years. He was the first Indian academician to receive the prestigious Thomas Edison Innovation Fellowship instituted by the Center for Protection of Intellectual Property at George Mason University, Virginia. He was also awarded the Max Planck India Fellowship for the term 2008 to 11 by Max Planck Society, Germany, and was the only awardee from the field of law. He was a scholar in residence at the School of Law, the University of California, Davis, United States. He is a regular contributor to international journals, newspapers, magazines, as well as books. Welcome to the session, sir. We are certain that this session will be highly engaging and beneficial for everyone, as we all can gain from the knowledge and experience of our esteemed speakers. We will share light on the 4th edition of the EPBCL program, for which we are in the last phase of the admission process. We are also grateful to Mr. Jyotirmay Brahma and Ms. Lopamudra Sengupta, our alumni from batch 3 of EPBCL, for being here with us today. I would like to welcome both of you as well. Jyotirmay is director at Globus Thinken, which is a Pune-based IT consulting firm specializing in the energy industry. His work involves managing and overseeing technical and commercial contracts with leading energy developers globally. Prior to this, he was a project finance professional working with EDF Energy in the US office. He also holds a master's in management science from Columbia University. With an extensive background spanning over 18 years in diverse industries, including B2B and B2C, we have with us Lopamudra, who's having a wealth of knowledge. She had the opportunity to work with the highly regarded Wells Fargo Bank in the United States while she was based there. She has studied mass communication and advertising at Jadavpur University and has also completed a specialized executive program in communication strategies for corporate leaders from IIM Calcutta. Welcome both of you to the session. It will be a wonderful opportunity to listen to the two of you to discuss your experiences at IIM Calcutta and the impact that this course has had on your overall outlook. Now, I would kindly ask everybody to remain on mute during the session. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit it in the chat box. And during the Q&A segment, towards the end of the seminar, you can interact with the faculty members as well. I will now hand over this forum to our notable speakers. Over to you, sir.
Unni, please go ahead.
So, Professor Rajesh, would you start or?
You go ahead.
Yeah, so a very warm welcome to all of you. It's a great privilege and honor to join this particular session and also possibly interact with all of you. You know, this program, this is the 4th edition of the Business and Corporate Law program of IIM Calcutta. We started this in 2016, then 17, 18, in 2 years during that COVID time, we did not do that. Then again, we started last year, restarted it last year. So that's how the program is. And I think we can safely say that over the last 3-4 years, we have been able to interact with a large bunch of professionals who handle law as part of their work. And some of them were actually lawyers in the sense that they are working in the corporate legal department of various companies. Some of them are very large companies, part of very renowned industrial groups and all. I would even say companies like RIL have sent people here. So this in a way has also helped our knowledge, because many a times we were very lucky to blend theory with practice, because people who are actually attending are also able to contribute in a very harmonious way. So as you know, this program is generally, we try to do it in around 6 months, slightly it can even extend beyond that depending upon the number of hours. Sometimes there will be some sessions which we might have to reschedule and all. But we have essentially 6 modules. That's what we do. Then there is a campus visit module also. The modules are primarily on, there are 2 modules on advanced corporate law, which I'll be teaching along with some professors who will also join. Some of them are from abroad, because last year we were very fortunate to have Professor Umakant of National University of Singapore to come and address our participants. We had some renowned scholars from Jindal Global Law School talking on insolvency and bankruptcy laws. ESOP is actually part of, so of course it will be covered, but these are primarily part of something. For example, employee stock option program is a way by which companies try to retain their employees. It's not a share being issued, it's a kind of a retention program. So we'll be discussing all those things, but nothing specific to ESOPs, but it will be covered. Yeah. So what are the compliances required for that? How much are what are the other requirements, what are the resolutions to be passed. Those kinds of things are discussed, but nothing specific only to ESOPs will be there. So I can say the modules on corporate law primarily deals with an advanced corporate law module where we deal with things like joint ventures, the company law aspects of a joint venture, the contractual aspects of joint ventures, things like shareholders agreements, things like share subscription agreements, share purchase agreements, those kinds of various controversies or some of the legal disputes involving clauses like ROFO, ROFR. So that is the first module on advanced corporate law. That's what we try to cover. We also try to deal with the restructuring of companies through concepts like mergers, demergers, reverse mergers, the role of the regulator, in this case, the National Company Law Tribunal, the role of what we call it, the scheme of amalgamation, the scheme of arrangement, to be very specific. So all those things we cover. Then within that module, we also try to cover acquisitions, primarily the listed side of it, the takeover code we cover. Last year, we had very interesting discussions, which was actually piloted by Professor Umakant on that LTI, that Mindtree's acquisition by Larsen & Toubro. So that whatever learnings which happen in the class also gets supplemented with some very interesting and contemporary case discussions. The second module within corporate law, which is also called advanced corporate law, there we try to cover insolvency and bankruptcy code. To a great extent, we were able to cover it last year. Then fundraising, for example, we went to great details with respect to public offers. Earlier, we never used to talk too much about FPOs, so further public offers, but you know, all those issues surrounding Adani was starting from a further or follow-on public offer. So that was covered last year, but not to that extent. We only had one case like Yes Bank's FPO to be covered, but many of my students here who are there will appreciate how much effort, how much kind of discussions we had on Paytm's IPO, Zomato IPO, which all can also relate to things which we deal on a daily basis. So the fundraising part from the public market side is covered. The private side, something like preferential allotments, qualified institutional placements, all those are covered. Then we have discussions on, we have sessions on foreign investment, primarily the FEMA part, and also different regulations involving direct investment, to some extent covering FPIs and all, and also certain things covering that external commercial borrowings part. So this is how we are covered. So what I'm saying is, even though it is written as advanced corporate law, many a times we'll be going outside corporate law per se. For example, FEMA is not purely corporate. Similarly, insolvency and bankruptcy code is not purely corporate law. Though NCLT handles all the cases, it's a different statute. So we could not find a better word for it, because otherwise we have to use all those words. So we thought we will use it advanced corporate law part 2. And this is what we actually cover as part of this, the advanced corporate law module. And I also deal with another module on intellectual property. There we again, last year we were very fortunate to have professors from outside also teaching. We had a professor very young professor from National Law School, Bangalore, addressing the participants. We cover primarily the international part of it, the TRIPS agreement. We cover copyright, we have covered patents, trademarks, trade secrets. Beyond that, by the time we have about 18 hours, so that also gets over. So these are the initial kind of discussions as far as the topics are concerned, which I mostly oversee these 3 courses. My colleague, Professor Rajesh, oversees the other 3 modules. So I would just request Professor Rajesh to throw light on this.
Yeah, thanks, Unni. Thanks. First of all, thanks for the great introduction, and also for Lopa and Jyotirmai to kind of join the webinar It's always a pleasure to see both of you back if not live, but at least in the tonight. So again, as we were trying to say, the way we have dealt with the law as such in this course is slightly different from the way we generally see the law is taken for or discussed. Particularly the usual modules that you will find in the law school, etc. Right? So essentially, what we had tried to do again is, as one of the introductory, when we were introducing the course, it was said that how to use law more as a strategic tool, right? So most often, what happens is that law, and particularly both from the point of view of lawyers or from the point of view of non-lawyers who are dealing with corporate entities which are dealing with law, their essential kind of approach, one would say, is to circumvent sometimes, right? Circumvent the law. And we have seen many cases where they circumvent till they get caught. Of course, they circumvent and probably get the business going. But then there is also a kind of approach where, what we call it as compliance, right? You give, because law is something that is there, you cannot avoid the law. Regulatory compliance is required, so you comply with the law. So in that sense, you are looking at law as a necessary evil, and trying to approach law from that perspective. Going forward, there are literature which also kind of look at law, how law, particularly from the point of view of corporate, can be used to leverage advantage, right? Particularly when we are looking at law as a preventive tool. So you're not just talking about compliance, but you're going beyond that to look at law as to how to prevent that from, so, looking beyond that kind of curve, right? And when you look at that and going beyond that, will be how the law itself possibly can be used as a tool to take corporate advantage in the highly competitive market, right? So in that sense, what we call it as taking advantage of the scenario, understanding the law, restructuring the law, both the laws which are internal as well as external, and try to make the best use of those laws to kind of transform your organization itself. Principally, when we talk from the management point of view, what we say is essentially like IT, information technology. How do you use information technology, right, to leverage advantage, right? So same way, a law which is not otherwise used or always used as a restraint can also be thought through as something that can provide a certain level of advantage to the companies, right? So in that angle, so that is the broader kind of vision that we have for the course. Of course, in addition to that, as Professor Unni already kind of mentioned, there are critical modules which gives you also the factual, the legal, what is and the what ought to be kind of law, the jurisprudence, evolving jurisprudence, etc. Something that we covered. So as Professor Unni already pointed out, the 6 modules, and the 3 modules you had already discussed. One is the advanced corporate law, and the second advanced corporate law 2, and also intellectual property rights. The rest 3 I kind of anchor, which is the dispute resolution mechanism, which is a kind of a horizontal, which cuts across all kinds of topics, starting from litigation to arbitration to mediation, conciliation, right? We even had kind of a practical exercise on how to mediate, particularly when companies, if you look at any big companies, and the statistics says that the amount of expenses that the companies incur on litigation or dispute resolution is significantly high. If you look at their budget, you will find that they usually comes in the first 5 or 10 top expenses of any corporate enterprise. So how do we kind of use mechanisms to kind of resolve it even before it comes into play. Even if the dispute comes into play, what are the mechanisms through which you can effectively resolve that? Because at the end of the day, disputes do create disruption to your operations, right? So these are some of the things that we kind of take you through, both in the national and the international context. So there is a large body of dispute resolution mechanism at the international context as well, where we talk about investment arbitration, FDIs, and the problems if there is a dispute, particularly when there is a dispute is between a state and a private enterprise. Also, we discuss this specifically in the context of international trade, which is the World Trade Organization context, right? So, say for example, anti-dumping, what we call it as trade remedies, right? So subsidies, countervailing duties, etc. Or those kind of disputes. Most of them are such disputes, which is taken at the international level, at the WTO level. So these are some of the things that we generally try to cover within the context of dispute resolution, both national and international. The second thing that we generally cover is in the context of international trade and investment, where there are two aspects to it when we say trade, and broadly from the regime specific of WTO. WTO has different mechanisms at play. So, for example, the trade in goods, trade in services, then intellectual property rights. Of course, intellectual property rights I don't cover in that module because we always have an exclusive module for intellectual property rights, right? So these are the two major kind of things, including what we call it as TRIMs, trade-related investment measures. So these are the broad aspects that we try to cover. Again, it's a very, very broad topic, but then we try as much as possible to take up the core issues that are related to international trade and international investment. The last and final topic is essentially in the context of competition and consumer protection. If I go back to the EPBCL 3, there was some demand to even look at what is called as the government procurement, right? So some of this, so even though that was not designed as part of it, we tried to cover what is called as contract management, right? Contract management, public procurement, government procurements, particularly the rules and processes, GFR rules, etc. Then we also tried to look at competition law and practice. We also invited the Competition Commission officials to have 2 sessions on Competition Commission. So it's like the learning from the institution itself, the officers who deals with competition law itself. So these were some of the things. Of course, we didn't we didn't get much time to kind of cover the consumer protection because of the paucity of time. We could not cover too much, but that is also one of the aspects that we will try to cover as the pace goes by, right? So these are the broad kind of modules, structured modules that we have. In addition to that, there is also a component called capstone. What we call it as capstone project. What is a capstone project? Essentially, it is a group project where at the end of the program, of course, we start to kind of nudge you in the middle of the program itself. But the objective of the program of capstone project is maybe 5 or 6 members coming into a group. They are expected to kind of pick up a certain issue and try to kind of bring in knowledge that they have gained over the 6 modules that they have brought in, right? And of course, you know that if you look at the kind of, as Professor Unni already mentioned, the nature of participants that the students that we had, almost half were lawyers and half were law background and half were non-law background. And that's a very, very healthy mix to have, because there is always a cross-learning, right? So it's not just us talking, right? So there are a lot of experienced people coming with their problems, sharing their problems, and cross sharing of knowledge also happens, right? So this, the capstone project kind of provides you an additional kind of space for you to kind of interact as a group and tries to kind of leverage whatever learnings that you had and make a presentation. Of course, that is evaluated. Remember that. So after the 6 core topics plus the 7th is the capstone project. So all these topics are, if I remember correctly, it is every topic we have allocated around 6 sessions. So sessions is 3 hours duration, right? So we have so 18 hours is allocated for each of these modules, right? In addition to that, we also have a campus visit module where around 3.5 days they come and spend here at campus. Of course, some of these topics are covered at campus as well, but essentially that is part of the program assets. So as I was trying to say, the 6 modules plus 1 capstone are evaluated. There are exams after each of the modules, and you are assessed. And based on the assessment, you may get, there are 4 categories: excellent, good, fair, and average. Sorry, fair and poor. Average and poor. Excellent, good, average, and poor.
No, excellent, good, fair, and
poor. Yes,
they don't,
right.
now average is not
Yeah,
fair.
right. So essentially, I mean, we have not seen anyone getting poor as such, right? So generally, people are smart enough to kind of, but our expectation is that always you will either score good or excellent, if not. So this is the kind of structure that we are looking at. And after every module, we will have this evaluation, which is very, very critical in terms of clearing of the course, because you are not expected to get more than 1 poor, right? You can afford to get, but as I said, nobody gets that, but you are supposed to get that evaluation. So this is the broad kind of structure, as I was trying to say. And yeah, I don't know whether I have covered. There is one more kind of technical detail that I want to kind of share. Essentially is that once you have successfully completed this program, you will be an alumni of the long duration program. IIM Calcutta alumni of the long duration program, and you will be given an email, the access to the alumni portal, etc. These are part once you have certified and successfully completed the project, the program. So I think I will stop here, and in case if there is any questions, clarification. Yeah. Unni, did I miss anything?
No. You covered it.
Yeah.
So I think, that was insightful, Professor Unni, Professor Rajesh. And I think we can, Shivani, possibly we can bring in Jyotirmoy and Lopamudra. I think
Definitely,
from the alum side of story, we can also hear from them. I think, as Rajesh, just to add here, we had been with the journey for the last about 2-3 years now. With the business and corporate law, this is definitely going to be the
seventh year, 2016 we started.
Yeah, we have started, but this is the 4th edition. And during this 4th edition, what we have seen is that, the point that Professor Rajesh Babu said, that we don't want anybody to get into the poor mark and we want people to be at excellent level. Let me assure you that the faculties put in that amount of effort, that ensures that you are always at the level of excellent or good itself, so of course, and the participants also complement it overall. And generally the cohort is very diverse. They come from various industry segments, and of course, knowledgeable. They also share knowledge from their part also, as well as, during the context setting Professor Unni said. So there's a lot of cross learning which is going to happen across industries. So I think we will hear from the alums also. I mean, these are distinguished alums. They have been toppers in their sessions, in their classes, and welcome both of you. And if you could share your insights also to the audience here, who are more or less the aspirants of this particular program.
And I would add, they are the newest alums because they became alums on 21st of January 2023. Yes.
That's right. Yes.
So whatever they say is the freshest kind of insights.
Yes.
We have actually become stale. So this is the freshest insights they are going to bring.
I would like Jyotirmoy start the conversation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. All right. No, firstly, just want to thank Professor Babu and Professor Unni and VCNow for having me. But yeah, no, it's been a very enjoyable experience. I'll start by saying a few things. I think it's definitely a certification if you want it to be a certification. But if you really invest the time to kind of be on the lectures, interact on the lectures, read the lecture notes and the books and the material that the program supplies, I think it starts to really become a very, very valuable education experience in itself. And certainly for me, I came from a sort of project finance, corporate finance background, but the amount of interest I had in law because of this certainly helped me, go through the foundation principles and then ultimately, work on a capstone project, which is very related to what I was interested in. So I'll give some examples. Like personally, Advanced Corporate Law 1 and 2 were two modules that I really enjoyed because that was something that I was keen on learning more about. And then Investment Trade and Investment Law, which is covered by Professor Babu, was also something that I really wanted to learn because being in the IT industry, we're exposed to a lot of cross-border contracts. We'll be dealing with entities in different jurisdictions, so on and so forth. So learning about that and being educated there was very, very useful. I think ultimately all of this culminates in just giving you the foundation, and then the capstone project is a very, very nice platform where you can essentially it's an open canvas within a framework that the institute creates. You can pick a topic as a team and kind of delve into it. In my case, I studied the Vodafone Idea merger because I was interested in public markets, and it was something where Professor Unni covered the foundations of this. He just spoke of the scheme of merger. So related to that, a lot of public market documents that we looked at and came up with a analysis of that merger that took place in 2017. So that was my capstone project. Really enjoyed that. And on a lighter note, I think the campus visits are something that is very, very interesting. We had two campus visits. One is a compulsory one in the middle of the program where you go and you present your work. You get critiqued, you get grilled in all your, assumptions, etc. Get questioned, which is a great learning experience. And then after that, had a chance to interact with a lot of faculty members, not just professors in our department, but also like professors from economics department, from public policy, so on and so forth. And I enjoyed meeting them as well. And towards the end, when you finish this program, in our case, we had a campus visit again for a graduation ceremony. I won't call it graduation, a certification ceremony, where we had to again, come to campus and interact with our batchmates. We've created a small alumni group. We're all friends. And I think, in that sense, it's been a very, very unique experience. I think one thing all of us in the batch would agree is that Professor Babu and Professor Unni are very, very approachable. So anytime you have any questions, doubts, you can approach them, you can email them, and they're very quick to respond. So in that sense, learning has been a great experience with them. And then VCNow is available with you for any technical difficulties, administrative issues. They're always there to support. So I think it's a very good hybrid model, combining both worlds as best as it can be given the short duration of the program. And I'll pause there, but any other questions, happy to answer.
So I would invite Lopamudra.
Yeah.
Please do share your experiential learning journey. How was it?
All right. Thank you so much to Professor Unni, Professor Rajesh, and VCNow, Mr. Banerjee and Shivani for giving me this chance. As Professor Unni mentioned, that we are the freshest alumni batch here. For me, I have worked in different verticals in different industries. Law was always an interesting topic which I wanted to explore. And in terms of, nowadays, since we are all global citizens, it is every geopolitical situation impacts your business and the entire world, so to say. So this program gave me an insight on So now when I see an acquisition in my company or a merger or a demerger, I'm able to connect the, the classroom lectures to the practical ground reality. So that is something which was a big takeaway for me. And of course, capstone project, it teaches you a lot of teamwork. It teaches you a lot of analytical skills, because as a person, I think I grew more analytical when I see a political situation or a company situation right now because of the course. So that helps. And of course, as Jyotirmoy, I would just call Joy. There are two Jyotirmoys. VCNow, of course, supports you technically. And of course, the exams and everything will be there at the end of each module. You do have to use the brains, because professors don't make it easy for you. That much I can tell you. But it is still an enjoyable experience. And the campus visits were very good. The capstone project, how you weave a story, how you present a business problem in terms of the practical difficulty and the solutions and everything. So I think for me, the biggest takeaway was the analytical aspect of the law and of everything, because I remember when we did the L&T Mindtree takeover, hostile takeover, and after that, when Twitter happened, I could relate each and everything to that practical situation. So that helps a lot. And of course, as Joy said, the campus experience is amazing. I mean, once you go there, you will never want to come back, probably. So we would definitely want to go back again and again. And yes, we have all become very close friends and very this thing. Of course, there were arguments, and professors were very, very tolerant of us. We asked all kinds of stupid questions. We interrupted. A lot of things happened, but they were very patient with us. So I think I'll just stop here. So the best experience that you can have is that out of this course, the best takeaway is that you hone your skills as an analytical person, and you will be able to apply the things that you are learning via online or via classroom teaching into the practical side of your working field, no matter which field and which organization you're working at. So that's the biggest takeaway from this. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Lopamudra and Jyotirmoy, for your insightful sharing to the audience. It really means a lot. And thank you for sparing your valuable time on a weekday evening to come over and talk to us all. Thank you so much. So, before we get into the Q&A, Shivani, possibly you would like to share the structure of the program for the benefit of everyone, because many of us in the audience would be the first timers here, could be. So we can share the structure or the program summary, I would say.
Sure, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. May I add one more sentence, Mr. Pulak, here for the badge?
Please.
Yes.
Even being a non-lawyer, I never felt like a non-lawyer in the classroom. So professors always invited opinions from us, which we could give. Whether it was wrong or right, it doesn't matter. But at least our viewpoints and our voices were heard. So that I would like to add.
Great.
Especially for people coming from non-law background. Thank you so much.
Great. So there's a feeling of being a lawyer after you complete the program. That is also a good takeaway.
Surely.
It could be that lawyers cannot take you for a ride.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Lopamudra, for sharing that, because we come across this question many a times that I don't have, a background in law. Will I be able to do this or not? And thank you so much, professors, for giving us such a good insight about the course. Now, I'll just share a few important aspects that will help you in understanding the main things, the details about the course. So this is EPBCL batch 4 that we are starting with. As we all know, this is a 6 months course. The eligibility says that you need to have a graduation or a post-graduation with minimum 50% marks and with minimum 2 years of work experience. That is the basic eligibility for the course. So this 2 years is minimum, right? And the average experience of the batch is much, much beyond this. The mode of delivery, it's a hybrid course. So we are going to have the live online sessions, which are D2D, and we have the campus modules. The campus module is basically a 3 days visit to IIM Calcutta campus during the end of the program. The sessions are scheduled on every Sundays.
I think
Yes,
Sunday
okay.
morning, so there's a bit of an error here. So
I'm sorry. Yeah,
correct.
that's a typing error. So
Yeah.
it's the sessions are scheduled on Sunday morning, and on the selected Friday evenings that will be pre-informed, right? And the certification, as professors have already shared about the same. So you will be receiving a certificate of completion once you have cleared all the modules and the capstone project. You will be awarded with the IIM Calcutta Executive Education Alumni status on the completion of the course. And the program fee is also mentioned out here. So it's 2,50,000 plus GST, which is payable in 3 installments. Now, the most impressive part of the course that, so the prestigious IIM Calcutta certificate. So this is the sample to give you an idea of the same. And I'm sure that we all would love to have this in our hands. This is a snapshot, right? Some pics of the last batch. I think our alums can relate to this, right? So this is the certificate distribution ceremony from the last batch. And we could see our professors and the LDP chairman standing out there distributing the certificates to the candidates. So that's a little bit.
The person who is giving the certificate is our dean
right.
of new initiatives and external relations, Professor Thakur.
Right.
So
thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. Right.
Yes.
So,
And just to add, the Sunday morning sessions are from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and select Fridays 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Right. So just to clarify that. Yeah.
So I'll pause my presentation here and we will open the session for Q&A. So
Yeah.
So candidates who are having a question can either drop us the question through the chat box, or if so, how can we take it?
I think we can directly have a few questions. If anybody has any question in the forum, so they can raise their hand and we can possibly prompt them to speak up, even unmute and speak and then go in mute.
Sure. So the forum is open for Q&A. So you can just raise your hand and ask the questions to the faculty. Or if you wish, you can also drop us a question through the chat box. All right. So,
okay. Somebody has asked about exam duration and pattern. Is it?
So
yes, sir.
Ronak.
Yeah,
Ronak, you should not be too much worried about exam. But as Jyotirmay was kind of pointing out, that is the last part of it. Okay, but yeah, duration, just to give you the point blank answer, it depends on the course, right? Sometimes it would be say 1 hour, it would be less than that. So it depends on the nature of the module itself, right? But generally, you can say that it's kind of 45 minutes, 1 hour.
45 minutes to 1 hour seems to be the general pattern. These are basically multiple choice questions.
Rajesh seems to have a Rajesh Shetty. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Rajesh Shetty. I would like to know that which module, in the sense of which topic you are starting with, whether it's a corporate law or IBC, how it is, sir?
No, IBC is part of advanced corporate law too. So there is nothing called IBC per se. So generally we start with either corporate law, or it can be even with Professor Rajesh module. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
So there is one more question.
Yeah. Ankit has asked.
Tax, indirect tax, log. Only we don't cover that.
No,
right?
no.
Direct,
tax is not covered at all.
We are not covered.
I need to clarify that.
Yeah. But there is one option. Generally, earlier we have done that. In campus visit module, we used to kind of invite somebody with a tax expert to kind of interact. But again, that is dependent on availability and suitability.
No, but as a module, we don't cover that.
As a
Just
module,
to
we
give them
don't
an
cover.
introduction.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there is a question from Sanjana regarding the study
So every
material.
module, every module will have reading materials. Most of them you get shared as soft copies. Some of them you will also get as books, which will be sent before the module starts, right? So usually before the module starts, we'll share with you the materials that needs to be kind of read. Of course, sometimes it may become overwhelming to kind of read the entire materials. We also kind of share the presentations that we do in the class after the
Presentations will be shared after the class.
Yeah. Okay.
So Ashish is having a question. I'm mostly involved in the legal contract with customers as part of engagement, which is very Greek to me. Can I expect this course will increase my knowledge?
So as I was kind of trying to say, even though we have not indicated that, one of the reasons earlier we used to kind of have a full module on contract itself, right? But then we thought we will focus on slightly different areas. But in the context of competition, as well as in the context of that module, what we did this time is to have two, if I remember correctly, 2.5 session or so on contract management, particularly kind of focusing on government procurement, the rules relating to government procurement. We did that. Okay. But that was essentially because of the demand. There was some demand, and we kind of slightly modified the topic for that purpose. That's all.
Mr. Sudeep Das.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sudeep, we cover liability, right? We cover liability in the broader context of liability, tort, what we call it as tort, right? And in the context of corporate liability, also in the context of product liability, right? Of course, this is one side aspect of that liability regime, right? So, see, remember this. There are, depending on the kind of participants, we have to have some amount of generalization. But in case you are specifically interested, we can always, have a much more personalized interaction on that particular aspect. But otherwise, yes, we do cover liability in a general sense of the term, and also corporate liability. Yes.
Any other questions, if any participant is having?
And, I think, professors, we can also share that, the diversity in terms of the industries when people come from. So we have seen people coming from cross-industry diversity, and while some set of, we also have few set of legal professionals who have a background in law, but I think mostly people coming out of various areas of, I would say compliance, entrepreneurs, I would say corporate, side of, professionals coming in, looking at managing, a larger role, having a much more larger responsibility, trying to know the, gamut of the corporate law side of things. So it's open to all. I mean, it's not limited to a legal professional, but it goes beyond it. Absolutely. And I think even our earlier cohorts have been so. So there was an absolute prudent mix from cross-industry professionals, and even entrepreneurs have been a part of our program. Anything about cyber law? No, I don't think.
Cyber law, nothing. But when we talk about copyright, we cover some of the interfaces which cyber law has with copyright law, but nothing specific only on cyber. It's not.
Right. Any other questions? Okay. So we are commencing this program very soon. Our classes are commencing from 19th. Before that, we are going to have the academic orientation session also for all the people who have already joined in. So this is kind of a final interaction in terms of people who are still yet and keen to apply for the program. So I think we have kept a final date of 19th of this month. Yes. So 19th is the first class and 12th is the academic orientation. So so we are getting prepared for it. So last date to apply, we have kept it as 6th. So you need to rush up if you wish to apply. Post this webinar, we will also share you the exhaustive brochure with the entire details along with the link of application. And you can also reach out to at this number. This is a central number. All our academic advisors are available here. Any question which you feel that needs to be answered can be answered over this. And you can reach out to Shivani, who's our program, a lead for this particular program. She is accessible at this email ID also as well. If there are still any further questions, you can possibly, you can ask till the time we keep this template for you to note down. And thank you for coming in today, everyone, sparing your time in the evening. So we'll just keep the forum open for 2 or 3 minutes to see if there's any questions, and then we'll wind up.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you. And we wish to thank the professors, Professor Unni, Professor Rajesh Babu, our 2 guests for the evening, our alums. Thank you so much for taking time out, and definitely the audience who have come over, possibly on a weekend. I would say the weekend starts from tomorrow. So yeah. So Rajesh has written, when will the program schedule? So our classes are starting on 19th and 12th Feb. We have the academic orientation. Academic orientation is the briefing of the way forward for the classes. So it is coming up very soon, right? So thank you again, and thank you for your time. Look forward to your joining.
Thank you, Pulakji. Thank you, Jyotirmay, Shivani ji. And of course,
My
thanks
pleasure,
to
sir.
Lopa and Jyotirmay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks to all the people who have participated.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Hi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.